And he's still trying to bring his crying to an end and compose himself. I think I don't want to play anymore.
Well, if you don't want to play anymore, then you wouldn't need to leave. But if you do want to play and nothing happens, then you wouldn't need to leave.
And he looks up, and he seems to be looking at Ekon. If I go away, what will happen to me? Where do I go to?
Some place to rest. It seems like you've been through a lot.
And you will tell my friends I didn't mean to hurt any of them.
They know
Yes,
that
of course.
already.
Your friends will never know it was you.
And at this point, the first rays of sunlight are starting to break over the horizon.
Direct
As they
messages
do.
you wish to...
They're pouring through mist, which is raising up all around the perimeter of the cemetery. What's Edmont saying?
Is there any messages you wish to carry back to your friends?
And shakes his head. It's only... I wish I wasn't sad at the end. And at this
Don't
point,
we all?
the sunlight starts to make all of you cast shadows forward. And as the sunlight reaches the place where the ghost is sitting, his visage evaporates from view.
Well, fuck.
I feel bad. I do
think
I do
that-
feel bad for the boy.
I think it probably went as well as it could have.
It's
He was
So-
already dead. There was nothing we could
not
do
a terrible
for him.
ending.
Well, hopefully air guides him to where he needs to go.
So
Hopefully
is
there,
Eric can see us here.
Is he in front of like a tombstone or anything? Like anything marked?
I mean, looking around, you can read the names on the tombstones, but again, it's all in this very ancient Darkanese script that predates anything you've seen in ruins to date.
Okay.
you said we're in a we're surrounded on all sides by mist, so this is like a little pocket of land in the mist. That's
Yes,
what I
the
heard.
mist rises up at the edge of the cemetery in all directions.
I think we have
It's
to go
not
back
like-
through the cavern then.
Of course we have to go back. That poor giant's still there.
Ekon, do you want to do like a ritual ceremony? Say a few words?
Yeah. Yeah, I will try and kind of compose myself for a minute and say some proper prayers for air.
Okay?
Ask air to guide the spirit back to wherever he needs to go. And then, are we done here? I'll look at
Too
you.
much else to be of use here. Then yeah.
I don't think we belong in this place.
Let's go.
Well, I could have told you that a year ago, cousin.
I mean, this
Edmont
place.
turns to go crawl back down into the grave.
And as Edmont's turning around to go back to where the open grave is, the sun starting to pour over the horizon, and for the first time in months and months, very far away, you hear the sound of bird calls, indicating that winter has finally broken at last. What's to be done with your giant friend?
So, Victor.
So we have
Okay.
three camps.
Yeah.
Three camps. And it's just a matter of I need everybody to speak up. All right. We have pro giant, anti giant, and does not and does will go with the an undecided more or less, okay? Who's pro giant?
Victor is pro giant.
I'm semi-pro giant. I have a very specific opinion on what we should.
So you are like minor league giant. Got you.
Yeah.
Who is anti giant?
I am fine with saving the giant, but he cannot come back to our village.
I don't see what value he provides.
All right. So
If you guys can convince him to be friendly, I'm not convinced he really
No,
would.
I don't. My opinion is we give him the canoe, we tell him how to get to where the ramp is to get out to the graveyard, and we tell him that's the way out.
In his
We leave him
condition,
there.
there's no way he's going to be able to climb that.
I can't do anything about that.
Also, what ramp are you talking about?
The one we tore out with the rocks.
The one that comes here, where we're at right
Yeah.
now, that doesn't go anywhere and is completely surrounded by mist?
Well, we don't know where the. we
Maybe
don't know
it'll
what
lead
happened.
somewhere different for him. The
Yeah.
mist is weird.
And if worst case, there's always a pit of mist he can throw himself into. Victor just doesn't want to kill the giant.
Oh, we don't
He's-
have to kill him, but I mean, we can't take a monster back to the village. They're not going to be cool with
No.
that. I don't
No.
trust
Yeah.
him to behave himself.
Nobody wants to take the monster back to the village. Victor just thinks that we've killed enough things, and this is something we can try and save.
Okay. How do you propose we save him?
Genie,
Yeah.
last session, you had floated the idea of making legs for the giant because its
Yeah,
legs.
robot.
In order to save this giant, its legs would have to be amputated.
Right, yeah, it's going to die.
Did
Like,
Genie
I-
vocalize that plan at all during the exploration of this dungeon, or was it just
Yes.
a thought she has? I need
She's
Genie
like-
to make me a dark powers check.
Oh, okay. Well, it was just like, yeah, sure, that's fine.
It's just like making an ability check, except you don't know what your ability score is.
Right. That's a natural 20.
Oh, okay.
Good time to roll a 20.
Yeah.
Well, like
Cyborg evil creatures, that's fine.
Genie actually.
The
yeah.
conversation is you guys are very somberly rowing back across the lake. I say somberly, but you found a fair amount of treasure. It's a good day. Like, we don't want to kill this giant, but obviously leaving it here is the same as killing it. It doesn't have a way
Right.
to escape. It does, even if it could, it doesn't have anywhere to go. And the bickering back and forth, all you can focus on, you can see the schematics in your mind's eye so clearly. And you want nothing more, you realize, than to be given this opportunity to build something that, as far as you know, has never been built before.
What, like a robot-legged troll or giant?
Exactly. I mean, people have prostheses where you're from.
Yeah.
If you lose a hand or an arm, you can, but they're not like functional typically. You think you know enough to make it functional.
Well, that is one of the magic items that is on the Artificer list.
And by the time you get back to, well, I guess I should ask, where are you landing? Oh, you have to land the boat here because there's a wall over
Yeah,
it.
we don't have options. Yeah.
By the time you get
Yeah.
back and you see this giant, at this point the flame is down to just the lowest of crackling embers, and it's got this, it's like huddled under this bedroll that you left it, and its breathing is very shallow and very ragged. It's not going to survive if you don't remove it from here. And you know that you can fix this thing's legs to be better than they ever were, and that you're not aware of anybody who has that kind of just insight and genius mechanically to do it.
I could totally fix his legs. Like, we would just need, like, Ekon.
Yeah, I could do that. I'd need a bone saw, but
We cut his legs off, right? We give him some fancy, like, Magitech bullshit steampunk legs. And we send him on his way, right?
Yeah,
I'm all for it.
that's fine.
I assume in its condition, this creature is in no condition to stop us if we were to do that.
Right? We would have to cut off his, like, arms and... It's his arms and legs, right?
No, just legs.
Oh, just the legs?
Just the legs.
Well, maybe we could cut the arms off, too.
What?
What?
Why don't we
Just
get
to
him
be
out of-
sure. What?
Let's get him out of here first.
So Evie's, to Evie's point, anything you do to stabilize this creature to the point where it can be safely moved runs the risk of it becoming conscious again. And if it's conscious, you know that it's violent and you know that it's evil.
Victor is okay with leaving it unconscious if we can save its life.
That's what I'm saying, is you likely can't, because you're going to have to stabilize its condition if you want to save it. And anything you do, giving it hit points back or warming it up or just like giving it soup or something, is going to put it in a position where it can, with its big strong arms, reach out and throttle someone. It's going to be it's a potential danger if you're going to try to save its life.
It's a potential danger, but in Victor's mind, it seemed reasonable. It seemed intelligent.
I wouldn't go with reasonable, but
I mean, all I'm saying is
Ekon is willing to do the amputation.
And we were told that we could persuade it, potentially, if we tried hard enough.
Genie needs like a long rest in order to actually build the legs, right?
Oh no, yeah, it's not something that's going to happen down here in this cave.
right.
You're gonna have to bring the giant upstairs, and you're gonna have to stabilize it so it doesn't die of exposure. In the meantime,
Yeah. I mean, this would be great, right? I do this. We do it a test run, right? Evie, we do a test run on the troll, and then we know it works, and then the guy whose name who escapes me because it's been weeks and weeks and weeks. His son lost his arm. Remember, we can give him a prosthetic arm.
So wait, you want to use this giant as a test bed to make our village better?
No, I want to use him to test an untested magical mechano.
But
construct.
the ultimate idea is if you can do it for a giant, then you can do it when Jerry the Logger loses his arm next year.
I mean, it would probably cost more than they make in their entire lifetime to make this item, but I don't know how long it would take a commoner to make like 25 gold, because I think it's a common magic item.
Okay, I'm actually less on board thinking that we can't just do it here.
there's no way to
I
keep
was hoping we'd be
the
able to-
creature from dying of exposure as long as you're in this cave. It's a matter of hours.
Yeah.
Like,
now.
it's mostly I'm worried that once we leave the cave, we're not going to have access to it anymore.
It's not going to still be alive if we leave the cave without it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. If you guys choose to leave this cave for more than a couple of hours, this giant's going to die here.
Why don't we try and talk to the giant and see if this is what the giant
walks over
wants?
and Genie walks over and kicks the giant awake.
Kick it away. And I mean, you
Yeah.
give it some kicks, but it doesn't. It's that far gone at this point. You guys bought it a brief reprieve with some food that you gave it and the fire, but
It needs a heal
I
spell.
mean, if we have hours, have Orson pop up with a hatchet and get us some firewood.
like, what's the
I
name of
prefer
the...
to keep it. I'm on board if we can keep it down here.
I don't think we can do that. That's
we
not an
can't keep
option.
it down here.
I've got to go back to my I've
It's
got to
around
be in my
anymore.
lab to build this thing, I assume. Although
That's the other consideration, is you wouldn't be able to bring the necessary equipment.
Listen, if the giant tries to attack us, then we'll kill it. But
Okay,
let's
what if
not
we
cross
bring it
that
back to
bridge
the
yet.
village and it kills someone else?
Well, we don't let it in the village. We do it on the outside.
You do have very extensive dungeons.
We do.
Ekon's been, like, stone shaping his dungeons for months
Okay,
now.
I could see if we could sneak it into the village and put it in the dungeon. I would probably be okay with that because you'll be angry and upset, but who cares?
Yo, can I also get some props for fitting the entirety, all of these maps on one table?
Yeah, this is
Yeah, well done.
It's nice.
Good times. Yeah, no joke.
I mean, you know,
Yeah,
Victor,
we
if,
take
you
it-
can
okay
care,
with
if you can properly care for your pet, then
Yeah, you need to feed it. You need to get it microchipped. You gotta walk it every day. This is a lot of responsibility, Victor.
so like before we go on, I want to point out I rolled a natural 20 on this dark power check. What is my negative at for me to like still be That's terrible. Genius.
Well,
Genius.
okay, with the full details of what has to happen, Ekon is actually now firmly against the giant. Like, this thing is pretty much irredeemable. It's just going to be a danger to everyone. Something will inevitably happen. If we're going to have to bring it into the village in any way, I don't see a way that trash.
So we
I
have
also concur with my brother. I think it would be better to just put it out of its misery.
Isn't it better to offer it a chance to change?
So we have 2 against, 2 for, and it sounds like Solitayre is going to cast the deciding vote.
Solitayre is against it. Yeah.
So-
I mean, I don't want to take it back to the village, but can we just take it to the surface and then tell him he's on his own?
You have to at
That's
least
akin to
give it a
killing
chance.
it. It's not going to survive
Yeah.
unless you guys do something to stabilize it. And the act of stabilizing it is going to create a potential danger if it regains consciousness.
Okay, so how about we stabilize it and then see if it tries to attack us, then we kill it. Like
That's
if you
fine.
can't take a gift, if it looks a gift horse in the mouth,
Evie, you did not get me anything for our last birthday. This is what I want. I want
you want
to
a troll?
I want to put robot legs on the troll.
Genie's actions could be incredibly beneficial to the village. As Duchess, surely you can appreciate that.
I want to point out that me, the player, does not want to bring this in, but apparently this is what I have to do.
So, Evie, you got to give a thumbs up or thumbs down on bringing this troll upstairs.
I'm giving you the genie approximation of puppy dog eyes.
We're flip-flopping on whether this thing's a giant or a troll.
Yeah.
Or am I the troll for putting you in this situation to begin with?
The troll would
yeah.
be fine.
Yeah, troll would be fine.
Right. I cast augury. If I help this troll, weal or woe?
Wheel and woe.
Of course.
Listen, guys, if we don't make an attempt to save this thing and give it the opportunity to do better, then what kind of people are we, and what kind of future does our village face?
I don't understand what angle Victor is trying to work.
Yeah,
with.
I don't either.
I think he's not even the devil's advocate. He's like Cthulhu's advocate. He just
I get what he's
No, he's
going.
Victor's advocate. is what
Victor
he is.
doesn't. Victor had a small psychotic break when all those people died, and now he doesn't want to see random creatures die that have.
So, okay, we've heard all the pros and cons. Evie has to cast a vote.
Better get off the pot.
Up or down?
Okay. Stabilize it, then let's talk to it. If it is anything less than completely amenable to doing everything we say without the slightest question, then he's on his own.
Stabilizing it's going to mean bringing it upstairs. You're not going to be able to do much
Oh, I
more
can't just
in this
cast a
thing.
healing word right here?
Well, I mean, you've already talked to it. You already know its mannerisms. You're
Yeah.
not going to get much more
Yeah,
out of it
exactly.
from that direction.
Yeah. And it's not going to make any agreements. It's not... I've tried to give him every opportunity. He's never given me a reason.
Okay.
Because,
Not to do anything for it.
look at the position that he's in. I wouldn't agree with anything if I was down here stuck either.
I mean, you know my position. My position is robot legs.
Evie's thumbs down.
Thumbs down. So that's 3 against. So the question now is, do you put the thing out of its misery here, or do you just let it slip into a coma and die naturally?
Mont is willing to do the deed.
Okay.
I mean, I think the cold is sufficient. I don't think you have to do that.
Victor is still
The cold,
arguing.
the cold would mean he would be suffering for much longer.
Well, a couple of hours, but yeah, he would be suffering. So how does Edmont do it? I mean, you just opening a vein or
Yeah,
drag him into the water? Or, okay. Just...
opening a vein.
Edmont,
The
no!
thing gurgles once or twice, but its eyes don't even open before its head just lurches forward, and its chin comes to rest on its chest, and it breathes no more.
Victor is very angry at Edmont, shoves him and curses him, and then starts
Genie.
to storm out of the cavern.
Yep.
When you watch this thing die, when you watch it breathe its last, those perfect schematics that you saw so clearly in your head fade away, like mist receding from view.
Okay.
The good news is you've got like 600-700 pounds of good eating here. Butcher up this giant.
I mean, we could.
I don't think we've quite progressed to the level of starvation where we're willing to eat a sentient creature yet.
Cold giant sandwiches.
Tastes like pork. So are we carrying like I want to carry some of this ice with me.
You
Can
can.
we even touch the ice without hurting ourselves?
Nobody's tried, actually. You guys have been really... So the deal with the ice is it kind of splits the difference between ice and rock. You can chisel it free. You can handle it. You could shape it into something, but it will not melt under normal conditions.
Yeah.
What about under a flaming
Can I be
sphere?
willing? I was about to say, can I be willing to put up some hit points as a stake to see about transporting some of this ice?
I mean, it's not much... As long as you're safe about it, there's not much... Unless you're going to stab yourself with a sharp piece of it.
Oh, absolutely not.
Touching it with your bare flesh for more than a few moments is very dangerous because, like, if you were to grab, like, holding an ice cube in your hands wouldn't do you any damage because the heat of your hand would melt the ice. This doesn't melt, so it's more akin to, like, grabbing cold metal than anything else.
And magical fire isn't enough to melt it either?
No, magical fire absolutely will in
Okay.
correct application.
I can just make a flaming sphere and use it like as a fucking ice pick.
Carve a chunk out with the.
Well, if it splits the difference between rock, would the stone shape work on it?
I don't have another stone shape.
Hasn't been tried yet.
Oh, okay.
Listen, you murderous assholes. Since you've already killed the giant, you want to go kill whatever's behind this ice?
They're probably already dead. So like, let's get up. I don't know. Like, I've got about 250-ish pounds of space left in my bag of holding.
It's going to take you
Maybe-
several hours to move that much ice into your bag of holding if you want to transport it all.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm fine. Like, we've still got.
Okay, ice weighs 64 pounds per cubic foot. So that's not actually a lot.
I mean, that's enough for it's magical ice. So a
It's like
cubic,
3 cubic feet of 5 cubic feet of ice.
yeah, it's enough for a.
1 foot by 1 foot cubes.
It's enough for like a cold room in the mansion.
Yeah, I'll use a flaming sphere to carve out the 5 cubes.
To be clear, you're having exactly the opposite problem with your mansion. Like, you had no trouble making the rooms cold. You're having a lot of...
But in the summertime, like, we can now store food at cold temperatures.
Well, I mean, you have this whole ice dungeon underneath your village now you can put to work.
Unless it disappears.
Not that you would do that to us, Brick Road.
Why would I do that?
We would only do that after we fill it with food.
No, I mean the dungeon. Oh, yeah, you fill the dungeon with ice. There was dead things down here. It's not sanitary.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, I don't have the ice, the winter version of the village to hand. I will have to grab that real quick.
Are we going to do anything about the dead stuff that was encased in the ice down here?
No.
I think
They
it's
are
dead.
dead bodies. If you
Okay.
do some
Go leave it
explorations,
be.
you eventually find dead bodies encased in all of the ice that do not animate or otherwise mess with you if you bring them back.
Okay, good.
We take the canoe and leave with the ice.
You could take the canoe. It takes some work to come out because you've got to work it around narrow corners and stuff. But yeah, I'll let you have
Yeah.
that canoe out of there.
Yeah, this seems like a really useful device. It may come in handy someday.
Yep.
It's ideal for a party of adventurers.
Oh, we have a river right next to us, so
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh no. I pushed
Oh, no.
Control C instead of Control V, and then the world exploded. There you go.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. I've got 2 more things that occur as you come up to the village. Well, 3 things. The first thing that occurs that you guys notice over the next couple of days is that the sick children are on the mend very quickly. Congratulations on completing the whole dungeon without taking a long rest, because if you had, kids would have started to die.
yeah, no thanks.
I was not going to allow you to take a long rest in the dungeon, but if you'd retreated back to the village for a long rest, yeah, the kids would have gotten sicker and sicker, and I was going to kill 2 kids before I killed Tenny. So good job getting it all done in one day. The second thing that occurs is you notice that some of the villagers know about the ruins under the village, the extensiveness of it, the warring factions on the north bank and the south bank that learned to control this supernatural ice, the cold of which they used magic to try to bore into the earth to find the root of it. Like, all of this mythology and history. In fact, it's probably why this village was built on this spot to begin with. Villagers who had no knowledge of this now seem to have had knowledge of this their whole lives. They heard the stories as children. Some of them insist it's why they chose to come settle here in the first place.
the hell did we kill down there?
This is very unsettling. I don't like
I'm
this.
feeling-
at all.
I'm feeling kind of Soul Blazer right now, you guys. Not gonna lie.
Memory and time don't really seem to work the way you would expect here. Also, it seems like whatever we know influences the world.
The ruins don't vanish, by the way. You can continue to travel down into them. The properties of the frozen lake below remain the same. And in the coming weeks, as spring begins to thaw all of the snow and as animals start to return to the woods and you start to wake up to songbirds in the morning again, you even hear some of your woodsmen talk about the cemetery 2 or 3 miles away from the village, speaking as though it's been there all along.
And going to
Cool.
investigate reveals it as such.
And you can travel there as though it has been there the whole time.
Edmont's got a lot of art subjects.
So like, yeah, I think this land is grabbing things and pulling it through, and I don't know what's going with their brains though.
It's like it's pulling history and time, and it's just becomes part of the land.
Oh, why aren't we affected?
Genie's like, bring me some of their brains.
Because we're outsiders, right?
But
Oh, does Abernathy have the same experience we do, or does he remember all these things always being...
No, he and Trieste have the experience that you do. He's baffled.
Yeah, it's
by
because
it.
we're outsiders.
That's
Well,
what he and Trieste will have that same conclusion.
So here's the question that I have that is incredibly terrifying for Genie. How long until we're no longer outsiders?
That's a very good question.
How has Trieste been
It
acting?
seems to me like
Did she?
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Well, it seems like to me that this land has been is taking this land doesn't is I think as the more we consider this place to be home, the more that we might become of it, and I'm very concerned about that.
All right.
I mean, look, I was born a Ferneskin, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to die a Ferneskin. Maybe in exile.
But you die in Ferniscan soil. That's the important question, which I think remains.
Also,
that we
Brick, I
should-
think I'm going to tick my age up to 16 at this point. I feel like that's probably appropriate.
Yeah, that's fine. Everybody can +1 to your age if you want. You arrived in Darkon in the middle of Darkon's summer, and it's now the end of
Yeah.
winter.
Brick, how has Trieste been acting since she stopped getting her daily treatments?
No difference. She seems whatever was ailing her is not anymore. Her general demeanor is she's spending a lot of time focusing on like her daily chores throughout the village. She's busying herself with tasks given to her by Abernathy, and when pressed, she's also making inquiries where she can on her sister's condition.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like with time, she's growing less restless about it and more resigned to this idea that whatever's happening to her sister is just something that happens to people in Darkon. Everybody knows of somebody who's succumbed to this condition, and there's little that can be done about it.
At some point, Victor will pull her aside and ask about the voice when she was sick.
And she insists that she has not heard it since.
Did she? Victor flat out asked if she agreed to its deal.
And her response, she says that there's too much work left to do here not to take such a gift. Is there not?
That depends on the price.
She insists she hasn't paid any price for it.
That's what worries me.
There's one other development that's going to occur as spring comes to Silverbow. Do any of you have anything you'd like to accomplish
Yes.
before?
Yes.
All right, let me open up my scratch here, and I'll go person by person. What is Genie looking to do?
So, Jeannie wants to spend one day. She's going to make a single scroll of cure wounds, and then she's going to take that scroll and then use it. She's going to basically take Evie's dagger, uninfuse it, and then reinfuse it with the scroll, so that it now has that stored in there.
So a dagger has cure wounds infused into it?
Yes, that dagger has cure wounds infused to it. She
Wait,
can't
my
use it.
dagger does?
Yeah, your dagger does. So like, there's going to be times where I go, give me your dagger and use it to cast cure wounds on people.
Okay.
The dagger of healing.
That's one day, but I actually want to take some time. Well, obviously during this entire time, I'm expending the full usage of the alchemy jug to make.
Well, we're
supplies for
not taking any downtime actions. I
Right.
just want to know is there something that Jeannie is looking to accomplish in terms of like wrapping up this dungeon that we just went through?
Oh, wrapping up this dungeon?
Yeah, wrapping up dungeon and the
No,
winter
everything that
activities.
I can do can be taken care of in downtime. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
And what does Victor have?
Victor mainly just wants some downtime stuff. Otherwise, he's just trying to figure out what people or know now that dungeons making them remember stuff.
Anybody else have anything as far as...
Evie
Yeah.
wants to check on
Downtime.
Tenny.
Tenny becomes healthy again over the course of the
Okay.
next few days.
All right.
What did that
Um,
have?
Okay.
I would like to spend a couple of days to go down to the dungeon and stone shape some sealed doors with hinges and locks and lock off all of the access to everything outside the initial crypt.
Okay. Now, the stone shape spell will work as intended on the stone, but it does not work on the frozen ice down there.
Sure, but I'm pretty sure I can at least block off access to everything outside of the first room through the stone, right? There's
Yeah.
no ice in the...
This is just a discovery you make as you're down there working. The stone
Okay.
shape spell, you
Okay.
can work on the earth and the stone, but not the ice. The ice is still ice. You need to
The other
develop
thing
ice
I would
shape
like
for
to
that.
do is, can I stone shape the staff into like a club or something that actually would be useful at that size?
Well, wait for us to identify it
Sure.
before you do all that.
Okay.
Well, are we
Okay.
going to identify the stuff at some point?
Yeah, I guess I could do that. If it's going to be a couple of days of him going down there to stone shape, I could spend a day to identify everything we got.
The staff that had the hands wrapped around it is nothing special. It was just part of the statue.
Right.
The other staff that you made out of the greatsword, it was a +1 greatsword that you just can't use properly. If you are proficient with a greatsword, you can wield it, but you're making attacks at disadvantage because of its weight. So same thing now that it's a quarterstaff. If you're proficient in a quarterstaff, you could use it, but you're making attacks at disadvantage because of its weight. Other than that, it is a +1, quarterstaff now, I guess.
What about the book?
The book is a wizard's spell book. The entire book. None of you are wizards, right?
No.
Okay.
The
Not
closest
yet.
thing is Jeannie. Because she's an intelligence caster, but no, not a wizard.
Okay. Then, other than the fact that it's a wizard's spell book, I would let Jeannie make an Arcana check at disadvantage to learn some things about this book. Because
All right.
Artificers sort of learn spells like a wizard does. A little bit. They're through study and research and whatnot.
Right.
And you've been to magic school. Magic engineering school.
Can I cast any spells that I want on myself to get?
Yeah, go ahead and give yourself
Yeah.
whatever bonuses.
Go ahead and
Ekon-
take a guidance
yeah.
too.
Yeah, okay. So I'm casting, since this is an Arcana check, I'm going to cast Enhance Ability, Intelligence to knock off that disadvantage.
Okay.
And then, whoop. What does and I'm going to give myself a Flash of Genius for +5. That is a 18, 24, 29.
Okay. So here's what you know.
You get Evelyn saying nerd.
The super uncool kind of magic users that have to like learn spells from a book and then like read the book and stuff. Like those assholes, you know?
Yeah.
A wizard's
Sick.
spell book uses some number of pages per spell. The more powerful the spell, the more pages it would use for the diagrams and incantations. You can't read this spell book. You're not a wizard. You'd have to be a wizard to get spells out of it, I think. Let me double check real quick. Here's what's alarming about this book, though. You're fairly confident that there are only 3 spells in this book. And it is fat.
Wow.
You have a wedding gift for Aslan.
What? You say things and then
Okay,
because
so
I'm just
I'm just making sure that none of you can identify any of these spells just by reading them in this book. You'd be able to if it was on your spell lists.
Artificer spells only go up to 5th level. So if it's over 5th level, then the answer to that is
Right,
no.
but we've got a high level cleric.
There's not a lot of overlap between high level
We got a
wizard
cleric
and cleric
in here.
spells.
There's not, but I just want to double check. I want to make sure. And one of them's not in my app, because why would it be?
I haven't updated that app in like 2 years.
No. So, you would need one of those book reading nerd dorks to identify any of this magic. It's beyond you. You're fairly certain that you don't know anyone capable of casting from this book.
So, do we need like a single wizard or a double book wizard?
You don't know enough about wizards to answer that question.
Oh, that's okay.
I didn't think wizards were that common in Vernisco.
They were no less common than any other kind of spellcasters. I think we determined that artificers would have been the most common, and probably sorcerers the least common, but any of them would be around.
Seriously, you need to keep that book a secret, because if Aslan ever gets pissed, that may be our way out.
Well, we'll put it in the. We'll build a shelf in the room with the mirror and put it in there.
It seems like a safe place to store it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay, so the last thing of note that happens to leave this on a.
Oh, I was gonna say something. It's just everybody else was like, ah. I do want to have an aside with Victor regarding his apparent belligerence regarding my role in a mercy killing.
So, what is the nature of this disagreement? What is Victor's actual objection to having Mercy killed? It was an ogre, by the way. It wasn't a giant or a troll.
Ogres have feelings like onions. They're layers.
Wow, you really went there.
Is it just that Victor is just having an adverse reaction to seeing so much death? And in this case, he didn't see it as necessary? That was my read on his reaction.
Yeah, basically, he's seen so much death and suffering, and just nothing's been given a chance to live. And this giant seemed like he was at least open to having a conversation, and then we just killed it without even giving it the chance.
Well, Victor thought that, but was very much not open to having a conversation. He took a swing at some of you guys, wouldn't let anybody get close.
But it was understandable given his condition.
At the very same time, we can't allow that kind of thing to be
It's the fact that we didn't even try. If we go meet more werewolf tribes, and we don't make a best effort to put them in a comfortable situation before we start negotiations, the same thing that happened with the Keltistravi is going to happen again. We can't
Sounds
just
like it seems like we did everything we could right there to put our hand forward.
We told that giant when we left that we would be back for it.
And we did come back for it. But the problem is, in order to nurse that thing back to health, even regarding whatever Jeannie was talking about with prosthesis, I think the word was that she used.
He said legs, whatever those are.
Prosthesis, even regarding all that, it would have been a massive undertaking. An expense and time that
we could have at least made it the offer, and we didn't. We didn't even try. Look at this place around us. If we don't try, who will? Remember the goat boy? Our city doesn't.
I guess the city. The next question is, what do you guys do with the basin that you pulled up out of there?
Oh, Genie, like that's part of the downtime. I'm gonna put it up.
But the plan is to erect it in the village.
Right? Yes.
Oh, don't put it in the middle of the village.
Not in the middle of the village. I'm gonna put it in the back of the church.
Like inside the building or on the church grounds?
I would feel a lot better if it was somewhere that we could have very strict control of access to it. Because
Don't you have like a lab tower?
But
By the
it
way, your
has to
clock
be
tower is
in-
broken again when you get home.
Fine, I'm gonna put it in the clock tower. So I know what to do to fix this goddamn clock tower.
So we can get into the basin then next session if we're going to take some downtime to put it up. Oh, I just noticed that my snake monster is still on the map here. Let's get rid of snake monster.
Yeah.
The last
Very
thing that
good
happens
monster
for this
different.
session is in the one morning, you are told that a most alarming emissary has arrived. It's arrived in the form of a skeletal bird with a message attached to one of the bones of its legs. And I mean, this thing is just perched on one of the fences in the middle of town, and nobody's going near it. The family who lives in the house the fence is attached to, went out the back door that morning to go about their chores.
I'll step forward and take the message.
Looking at the message, I'm going to say that you can't read the language naturally, but with an intelligence check, you might be able to identify it. Identify the script.
Or casting comprehend languages.
That's up to you.
I will do that.
Casting comprehend languages wouldn't identify the language; it would just allow you to read the message.
Yeah. Okay.
So you do still want to make the check?
Yeah, I still do want to make the check though.
Okay.
But I'm not very good at it. That's only a 5.
Only a 5. Give me one moment.
Yeah.
I'm going to post our straw poll in the chat here. And the message reads, should House Veritas want for allies against Azalin, Avardo awaits at the site of the first and oldest.
Avardo.
That's it.
First and oldest is the scary part.
Yeah, we know that guy. He's not very nice.
We know who that is.
Avardo is the caravan used by the Vistani.
Oh, yeah, it's like we know who the first and the oldest is. I was like, I didn't know. Interesting.
So you've read the missive, but you don't know the nature of the script. And as far as you can tell, there's no signature attached. And as soon as you've read the message, the skeletal bird flaps the bones in the place of its wings, lets out this very sandy, croaky sounding bird call, takes to the air, and flies off.
Which direction?
South by southeast.
Is that toward the oldest?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, I'll report back to the others and say that that's very distressing, no doubt.
Does our Vistani guest recognize the name?
There's no name.
What? There's not a name?
No, the missive is not signed.
No, I mean the name on the stuff. Like we know that's like the Vistani's caravan.
Avardo is just their word for a caravan.
Okay.
Can Victor ask Vistani if she can do a reading about the nature of that message?
She probably can.
Would she?
Do you pay her a price?
What is the customary price?
She'll take 3 pieces of gold from you because she knows you can afford it.
I mean, Victor's fine with that if everybody else is.
Sure.
Don't see why
You
not.
do you, Victor.
Unless we want to have Evie try and do Wheel or Woe. That's been working really good.
I already tell you what the answer is going to be.
So does Evie do an augury before Victor gets this reading?
Sure, why not?
What is the augury? What do you ask?
If I go to meet with the Savardo, would that be good or bad?
But you can't meet with a Vardo. A Vardo is a caravan.
Well, I thought that a caravan is a group of
This-
people.
No, a caravan
Specific
is a
Vardo.
wagon.
Okay. Okay, if I go to attend this meeting with this mystery person who sent this letter,
And the answer is wheel.
It's broken.
probably.
It's
That's way scarier than the wheel of woe.
It's not going to stop us from going, of course, right?
Yeah, I mean we're
Victor,
gonna go either way. I
You
think.
receive a reading from Kolyana. And her face goes ice white. How many readings has Victor gotten from her? Is this like something he's like addicted to now? Or has it just been the one time and he's been avoiding it since?
He hasn't been avoiding. I guess we could say he's gotten a couple here or there for various things around the village.
Then she usually uses it. It seems like she uses these readings as playfully as Victor has been using them. That's usually her demeanor. Her demeanor changes a lot this time. And instead of telling you the meaning of the reading, she slides your coins back across the table. And she tells you, do not ask me to interpret this. You cannot.
As in, you aren't comfortable, or you literally cannot interpret it.
She shakes her head and motions for you to take the coins back.
Victor will give a small shrug and a solemn nod and take the coins back and say, I understand.
And from that point on, she does not do any more readings for you. So you guys have that to look forward to next week. I'm going to go dark for a few minutes while I tally up some experience points. We had less combat this session than we did last session, but you had it with bigger monsters. So go ahead and think about some blips for a second. I'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Who was most creative today?
Who was the guy who decided to start punching Victor? Was that McDohl?
That was me.
Yeah. So yeah, that.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny, and it worked. So
Who furthered the party's goals the most today?
I'm going to say Victor for trying to comfort the child. The ghost child.
Sure.
Okay.
Who's a badass? Can I put myself
Yes.
forward?
Sure.
Or, it's because I missed out on what's on the
Yes,
like
go
a pretty
ahead, go for
combat
it.
heavy session last week, and I'm like, I want to catch up.
Go for
No, after we took down the one spoopy thing,
Yeah, you went to the
Like-
room to fight the next one. Yeah.
yeah, I went right into the other because I knew what was about to happen, and I didn't want it to hit, say, one of the rogues or the fighter who we would never be able to hit.
Yeah. That's fine.
And intangibles.
Can I put myself forward with this one? Because when everyone was given a decision on who to deal the most damage to, they always chose Ekon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You ganked the healer first.
yeah.
I never even
that's what
cast
you
the
do.
fire. I had 2 fireballs in tap if one of those things grabbed me.
Yeah, I know. If you or I had gotten, we could have.
Yeah,
really
that's also a good point that I don't think really clicked with anybody's head. But yeah, no, I would not.
If I
I would not
hadn't
be happy.
stone-shaped the staff, it would have been a wall of fire ringed around all of
That would have been amazing, but I'm glad you didn't.
Mine would have just been a shatter that I used the earring to maximize.
So how much
my defense.
identify? I missed the identify stuff. What all did we get magic-y out of there?
Just it was the +1. The stone weapon was a +1 weapon that's too unwieldy to attack with.
Yeah.
The we got 2 potions of healing, and the and that other one is a spell book with some stonking strong spells. Like it's a full spell book that's got 3 spells in it.
Wow.
What if I stone shape it into arrowheads?
That
Seems
might
like
work.
nothing else we could use from a stone weapon would be useful.
I don't know if that'll break the enchantment or not, but you know,
Yeah,
whatever.
but- Being into multiple objects,
It's worth asking anyway.
Try stone shaping it into a shield.
It's a +1 weapon. That would just make a shield you can hit someone with +1 to hit, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know.
Does anyone in this party use a shield?
Orson?
I thought Ekon did.
All right. Who
Oh.
wants some
Oh, I
experience
do.
points?
I
Yeah,
don't
I
have
do.
the strength to carry
I
around a
want
stone shield.
experience.
Yep.
So one of the monsters you fought tonight was called a Necrocore, which is from the Van Richten's book, and I changed its mechanics quite a bit from how it works in the book. But they have one of their abilities is called blood puppeteering, where they can attach to your body and then make you do things. So I designed this encounter with the idea of like, okay, like if it attaches to somebody, it's gonna like split their movement and actions up, and then like damage transference and things. Designed the whole encounter before I remembered the genie doesn't have blood. So when the thing attached to Genie managed to break the thing off, but if she hadn't, it wouldn't have been able to do anything, and I was just going to apply necrotic damage to it every round that it was attached to her until it died. Because it would literally have starved itself to death.
Excellent.
The brain slug.
Right, exactly. That's exactly it, yeah.
Slug.
The poor brain slug that died because it was attached to Fry. Yeah, I designed the whole encounter before I remembered, oh yeah, Genie doesn't have blood. So congratulations, that finally there was a benefit to Genie not having blood. So for 2 Necrocores and 2 Ash Elementals and a young white dragon.
What?
Really?
That was the snake on the water. It was just a white dragon.
Yeah, no, it's like, wow.
I told you we should have skinned it.
Except it had a swim speed instead of a fly speed.
Yeah, it still moves in 3 dimensions. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's rad.
2,283 experience for each of you. 2283.
Okay. That does not push me up to a level yet.
We'll get you there. Don't worry.
All right, who wants to do some blips first?
I can
I can go.
I heard Genie first.
Chaotic neutral. When in doubt, go with your gut. For walking into a room, looking over, seeing the remains of some kind of science or something that has obviously gone wrong, and jumping over what she found out later to be a bottomless pit to go investigate. And there was nothing over there, but still.
Besides that, bottomless pit pretty well.
I mean, after I jumped over it, I would have made my player roll to see if he falls in, just to be a dick. My ideal practical solutions to impractical problems for the again being punished for making a random one-off joke about making the ogre robot legs.
Mm-hmm.
And then having to argue in favor of giving the ogre robot legs. And then the video.
Okay. And I heard Victor next.
Yeah. So alignment, the ends justify the means. That would be encouraging his party to transform him into the punching bag they always wish he was.
To be clear, none of that was actually Victor's blood. That was all the necrocore.
Yes.
The creature was bleeding.
Yeah.
It was still amazing. For ideal, seek the truth no matter the cost. That would be trying to bravely lead the expedition through the gelatinous mimic cube-filled dungeon.
There were no cubes in the second half of the dungeon. They were all in the
They were not, surprisingly.
no mimic doors either, I don't think.
No.
I felt like the necrocores and the ash elementals were enough.
Mean enough.
Yeah. And then for flaw values knowledge over people, that would be removing the sword from the statue.
Okay. And who's next?
I can
I'll
go.
go.
I don't know who I heard first. Edmont, you go, because you're at the top of my list.
Okay. I have my alignment, lawful neutral, take everything you can, give nothing back for the mercy killing on the ogre. I have my ideal, life as my canvas, I will make my mark on it for taking all of these. Like, oh no, he's absolutely taking that moonlight wall formation that he saw there. He's making art of that too. Just
Okay.
hasn't gotten a chance to do downtime for it yet. And for my flaw, the world is filled with predators and prey, and I sure as hell am not the prey for jumping over and seeing. Oh, Victor's about to like he felt the thing the first time in the northern room. Then when he saw what happened to him after we killed the other Necrocore, Edmont was like, "Okay, no, this is not. I'm probably the least threatening thing to be able to be manipulated. So yeah, no, let's let me get in on this action."
My ruling on that was you couldn't have freed the Necrocore without disturbing the curtain. Like, if nobody had touched any of those curtains, you'd be fine. It wanted you to free them, which is why you had to make charisma checks going in the room. But
Yeah.
when I ruled that Ekon's radiant damage could hurt it from around the corner,
Yeah,
I figured, you know, if he
it
can
happened.
damage him around the corner, I can let it loose into the world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
good job,
I
Ekon.
I thought the same way. So I was like, and it was really good that I managed to hold it that way. That way, we only had to fight one of those at a time instead of both of them at the same time.
Well, if you just left it in Genie, it would have eventually starved.
Oh, we forgot to we didn't figure out what those two magical curtains were.
Oh, they're powerful abjuration curtains. So if you have something you needed to seal in that very, very specific way, the curtain would do the trick. You probably
Okay.
won't have any actual use for them. Like, it's not enough to just throw it up over a door and now werewolves can't go through it. Werewolves could totally come through it.
Right.
But if you had an evil spirit that you needed to seal in a particular location,
Yeah, it's because there's no evil spirits in Ravenloft
None
There's
whatsoever.
no evil spirits in our house.
we know of.
Mount the curtains back to back.
That's all my blips.
I think I heard Ekon in there too. I heard all three of you, and Ekon's just next on the list.
Alright, so I have Lawful Good, the shining words of air, lay down a path for us all for saying prayers over the grave of the dead ghost boy.
Okay.
I have the Ideal, give me a reason, because he very much tried to get a reason for the giant to live, and that gave him no such reason. So,
yeah,
you know.
no, if you brought that giant back and put him on robot legs, you would have had to put the giant
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, no, I literally tried for him to give me a reason to let him live, and he didn't.
Nope.
And that's the other side of that stupid Ideal.
You killed
And
him in
then,
his sleep.
Flaw is I'm sure there has to be something good just over the next hill for stone shaping the stupid sword into a stupid staff. Maybe someone knows, but I guess not. Oh, and the initiative.
Okay. And Evie, what do you got for me?
Chaotic good, you mess with my family, you mess with me for saving Victor from the icy water.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
I-
You got him out of there before he sustained any cold damage.
Ideal, I must become a leader that others can believe in for using her word of command to allow Victor to stop the dragon from stealing our boat.
I had a whole contingency plan for if you guys lost the boat and were stranded on the North Shore.
And then Flaw, no one understands, for Evie saying, we need to protect the boat, and Genie saying, it's fine, and then the dragon takes the boat.
Well, to be fair, the DM told me it looks like the boat is going to be fine.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, that is exactly what you said.
And then
The
what
boat
happened?
is,
Looks like.
You told me the boat is in no danger as it currently sits. Oh, okay.
Well, it wasn't in danger of sinking or floating away. That wasn't a lie. It was,
Tell
uh,
yourself that, Brick Road.
It was a mild omission of truth.
Lies of omission are still lies, Brick Road.
Listen, Victor is on Evie's side. He told multiple times, take the boat.
Grab the
Nobody.
boat.
Ekon was like, I can't do it. I have a 5 strength.
Lies of omission are still lies.
I mean, I didn't want to give away my monster's plan. That's no fun. Who had the most creative solution to a problem?
That was McDohl for deciding to punch Victor in the face to damage the creature that was inside of his blood.
So in its like light form, where it's completely intangible and incorporeal, it had resistance to basically all forms of physical damage, magical or otherwise. but the psychic damage from Victor's blades and the radiant damage from Ekon's spells were doing full damage to it. There was a point in that fight, I think, where Victor attacked it with psychic blades but got no feedback even after having dealt full damage. There's just no way for him to have known that it was full damage because the thing didn't bleed. And who did the most to further the party's goals?
That was Victor for trying to comfort the little dead boy.
Trying to tell him pretty lies.
Comfort at the end.
Sugarcoat things that weren't true.
Victor would have been fine if he stayed.
No.
If he had, the kids would have continued to got sicker and sicker. Then.
Oh, was it actually the kid that was causing the issues, not the dungeon?
Yeah, it was the ghost boy.
Al would say chocolate's bad for you.
How much chocolate
No.
did she eat?
None. But she's begging me for it.
Do you buy that special like doggy ice cream?
I should. We don't have it at our grocery store.
We got a whole thing of doggy ice cream in our freezer right now, and I'm like, man, I wish we had some people ice cream.
How is that different than people ice cream?
I don't know what's different about it, but
You should try some and report back.
I'm definitely not going to do that. Who is the badass this week?
That was McDohl again for going into the other room and taking the fight to the other monster and punching a wall.
I really like the part where he just punched the wall. That was fun for me.
I'm surprised you didn't deal damage to me for punching a wall.
No, I mean, it hurts, but I don't think it would actually deal damage. And intangibles. I mean,
That
the
was
monsters
Destil.
were the most intangible thing of the session.
Intangible was Destil for everybody getting blood puppets, like blood bended. Is that what we're going with?
Yeah.
Blood
being
puppeteering
blood-bended-
is the name of that
Yeah,
feature.
to be attacked, and then everybody deciding that the most dangerous person that they would attack would be Destil.
I mean, you ganked the healer, right?
No, it's not untrue.
I mean, Destil has the
Also,
highest
as he
burst.
revealed to us while you were away, Brick Road, he said that he had 2 fireballs in his pocket that he was ready to drop if he ever got bloodbended.
Oh, no, yeah, if he had gotten blood puppeteering and I asked him that question and he didn't say I had light a fireball in this room, I would have overridden him. I have your character
Well,
sheets
no,
open.
because until I stone-shaped the sword, it would have been I drop a circular wall of fire centered inward.
See, I can always trust Destil to answer those kinds of questions completely honestly.
I was like, oh, if I get doing, because after the first time you did it, like, oh, what would Genie do? Well, she would drop a shatter on everybody, right?
So,
But the real answer is she would starve the monster to death.
Right, Genie would not have been in that situation.
You never asked Nath that question in Planescape, which is good, because he would have plane shifted back to Sigil and started investigations on all. It's literally was the back of my head the whole time. Is if I ever gets asked, how do I deal the most damage to my party members?
You expose them for all of their many crimes, yes.
The rogues were really the weakest in that fight because they kind of need their bonus actions to be as effective as possible.
Yeah.
And the creature could not get access to their sneak attack. There was just no... unless it had some way to grant itself advantage, which it didn't. So.
Luckily, I cleaned myself out of E points by the time it got to me.
Well, everything that you can do with key points is... Like most of those are bonus
Yeah,
actions.
you know, you're right. Yeah.
Like even just spending a key point for Flurry of Blows counts as a bonus action. So.
What about key point for a stunning strike?
Oh, it could have absolutely taken the stunning strike out of it.
I mean, you
That
didn't have any
would've
key
been-
points, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. I didn't
But-
think of that because Edmont just has Stunning Strike just piggybacks on Flurry of Blows.
Well, he didn't have any key points, so it was moot.
Yeah, I didn't have key points, but I could have attacked and then put the key point to attempt a non-dark power stunning strike.
Blips are currently we're level 9, right?
Yes.
So blips are worth 533. And nobody spent any this week. Edmund has our straw poll, so you just earned... Edmund, you had 6 and you earned 6, so you're rolling over all 6 of those.
33.
Ekon had 3 and earned 5, so you're rolling over at least 2. Would you like to come in next week with 6?
Yeah, what were they worth again?
5, 3, 3. Evie had 6 and earned 3, so you're rolling over 3. Jeannie, you're rolling over 3, and Victor's rolling over 4. And when we reconvene next week, we will find the meaning of should House Veritas want for allies against Azalin, Avardo awaits at the site of the first and oldest.
As long as he doesn't ask us for any virgins.
I mean, you have Jeannie still.
Genie's not a virgin.
Debatable.